with Lauren Stallone.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. The Ministry of Health released a new report by London Health Sciences Centre Supervisor David Mushi today. Much of what is contained in the 40-page report won't be new to those who have followed the challenges at LHSC over the past 2 years. But as CTV's Rita Ismail reports, the hospital is now ready to move towards board renewal.
A new report from London Health Sciences Centre's provincial supervisor is offering the most comprehensive look yet at what went wrong inside the organization and what still needs to be fixed.
It's a difficult report to read, but I hate to say it, it's a must read. And the way we move forward is through transparency.
For the first time, the hospital supervisor has compiled those issues into a single assessment of how one of Ontario's largest hospitals lost its way and how it's working to recover. The 40-page document summarizes years of governance failures, financial challenges, and an alleged fraud scheme that have already been the subject of public scrutiny.
Over the last decade, LHSC cycled through 6 CEOs, 6 CFOs, and 41 executives. That level of instability has consequences.
The report concludes that patient care and research remained strong even as governance and oversight deteriorated over more than a decade.
This place had a few bad apples, but those few bad apples did not affect the core of this place.
The report also focuses heavily on what has changed since provincial supervision began.
We have redesigned governance structures, implemented best practice policies, strengthened accountability mechanisms, developed new corporate bylaws, a new board policy manual, simplified committee structures, and developed a comprehensive orientation and education program once we start to onboard board members.
Still, Muge says the work isn't finished.
I'm not saying the community has heard everything that they're going to hear. There could be more, and that will unfold. But again, hopefully the parts that unfold are not as big as what's unfolded now. But there's still some things we're working on and working through.
The next phase of recovery will include recruiting a new volunteer board of directors and hiring a permanent CEO. People
think, first of all, board positions are paid. And they're not. They're volunteer positions across all the hospitals in all of Ontario. And it's a big commitment.
A commitment that Muge hopes will return the organization to traditional governance after more than 2 years under provincial oversight. Rita Ismail, CTV News.
Council was summoned to City Hall to make a last-minute decision about applying to an $8.8 billion program that would slash municipal development charges in half. As CTV's Daryl Newcomb explained, several councillors felt they were being rushed into a decision without enough information.
They are moving very, very quickly with this program.
The city treasurer emphasized applications to an $8.8 billion federal and provincial housing incentive are due Friday morning, even though final details were only provided to cities last weekend. In exchange for slashing municipal development charges on new residential construction, municipalities can apply to cover a portion of the cost of housing-enabling infrastructure like new roads and sewers. City staff recommended cutting London's development charges by 50% for 3 years. But the list of infrastructure projects to be submitted on Friday morning, as well as the city's risks and costs, have still yet to be determined.
You have been working on this for the last couple of weeks. All that work, as I said, is not visible to the public. It's not accountable, it's not transparent, and we are being asked to vote today blindly.
We have estimates and many, many estimates that we are trying to refine. I did not feel it was prudent to put forward estimates that we're going to change possibly before we submit.
Mayor Josh Morgan emphasized that city staff will report back in August with which projects were accepted for funding by senior governments.
Just to be clear, we will still have another vote to decide whether or not to participate with all of the full details on what it actually looks like for the City of London.
I really worry that we're going to come back in August, and it's going to be sort of like trying to push a big boulder up a hill that has already started rolling down the hill.
Ultimately, council directed staff to apply for the program on Friday. then provide a memo detailing the infrastructure projects that were submitted.
I have an obligation on behalf of taxpayers to ask for more information. It is here. Somebody has it. Somebody's guiding this ship. And I thought it was going to be council.
Nothing has been really decided on at this point, but you could see that there's combinations of transportation projects and wastewater projects that are possible. So I've certainly talked to our staff about the possibilities. I've seen them, what they might be contemplating, but I don't know what they're ultimately going to apply on.
London's development charges range from just over $22,000 on a small apartment to $50,000 on a single-family home. But whether developers would pass along the 50% savings to home buyers remains unclear. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
They were once burned so severe that it would have meant permanent scarring and ongoing treatment. But as Jerry Dewan tells us, a new treatment has dramatically improved the outcome for one patient. But first, a warning, the images may be disturbing for some.
It was December of 2025 when a party in the yard of a fraternity house near Western University turned tragic. Rubbing alcohol was poured on an open flame, with fire spreading quickly. 5 women suffered burns, the most serious to then 18-year-old Caitlin Jeffrey.
I had caught fire to my hair and face and was brought to London Victoria Hospital, later then transferred to Hamilton Health Sciences.
The burns were so severe that traditionally the only option would have been skin grafts. But Hamilton Health Sciences Center surgeon and researcher Dr. Mark Yeschke had been studying the use of exosomes to promote healing.
I describe this like these little fat bubbles that are circulating in our body that are made by various types of cells.
His research had given him confidence that with exosome treatments, Caitlin could avoid skin grafts on her face, along with the scarring and ongoing follow-up procedures that would be required.
They induce healing, they increase your blood flow, they increase growth factors. So they basically tell your body, please heal these areas.
Still, Yeschke understood that any first-time treatment comes with some degree of risk.
Obviously, what you do not want in patients is to be of detriment. You don't want to make things worse because, again, if you think about our patient, if you make that burn to her face and to her body worse, it would be disastrous.
The result of the treatments exceeded all expectations.
I was blown away by the efficacy and the way she was healing. It was quite remarkable.
Pretty much like right after I got out of the treatment, like the difference from like before and after, even though there was still blood from the debridement, was like night and day, and just every day it got better and better.
Dr. Yeschke says cultivating exosomes is expensive, but he's hoping the success of Caitlin's treatments will spur more research and further advancements.
We gave Caitlin 1 trillion exosomes. 1 trillion. It's a remarkable number. If you think about how to produce this, how to make this, it takes some time, it's costly. So my hope is that that Caitlin's case will increase awareness and saying, hey, this needs to be cheaper, it needs to be more broadly available.
Yeschke says Caitlin will require surgery or laser surgery to address scarring on her neck. He says the goal is to restore her looks completely. Jerry Dewan, CTV News.
With the federal government announcing investments to increase electricity generation, a world leader in electricity production and distribution is setting up shop here in London. Hitachi Energy has confirmed the purchase of Conduct Group, a manufacturer of transformer insulation components that's been in business for more than 40 years. More than 30 employees in a statement from Hitachi Energy says there are plans for long-term growth. The purchase is expected to be complete in the fall. This announcement comes after council approved a bylaw which clears the way for Hitachi to purchase 32 acres of land in the Huron Industrial Park on Huron Street, just east of Clark Road. Hitachi hasn't identified their plans for that property. London police are looking for a suspect after several counterfeit bills were passed. Police say between April and this week, the suspect used or tried to pass off fake bills at local businesses. Residents are urged to report any suspicious cash they may encounter. Anyone with information about this investigation is asked to contact police. Charged in the killing of his 22-year-old girlfriend, a London man took the stand today to testify in his own defense about their complicated relationship, which ended tragically. CTV's Nick Pepperella has more from the courthouse in St. Thomas.
53-year-old David Yates testified about how he met 22-year-old Caitlin Jennings in 2022. He told the court about how they both shared a love of music, boating, and having days at the beach. He spoke about them having a family and living in a farmhouse. However, months after they met, the relationship started to sour. He recalled seeing troubling entries in her cell phone, saying, "I looked at the messages coming in, and it was disgusting images, all kinds of horrible stuff." He went on, "The pictures were gross, people that were engaging in online hookups." Then there was another incident during a day of boating a year before the killing where he questioned how faithful she was. All the cheating and lying was starting over again. Then, during some confrontations, he said things would get physical. There was a number of occasions she would get violent and hit, getting her arm around my neck to full blackout, hitting and tackling me, being kicked. Asked if he was ever physical with Caitlin, he responded, "When she was getting more violent, I would get her away from me. That's why I'm sitting here today." He said on different occasions Yates would record the confrontations and police would get involved. At one point, Caitlin would be charged. The relationship all came to a head when officers arrived to this home at 562 Kingsway Avenue in West London on July 5th of 2023. They found Caitlin's lifeless and beaten body on the living room floor. Yates would be quickly arrested and charged with second-degree murder. When Caitlin's body was discovered inside the home, she was found to have more than 200 wounds. A pathologist has already testified that she died from multiple blunt force trauma injuries. More testimony from Yates is expected to be heard on Thursday when the trial resumes. In St. Thomas, Nick Paparella, CTV News.
Still ahead, a major milestone, how one of Canada's oldest female-led charities is celebrating 125 years of success. Canada's main stock index finished lower, weighed down by broad-based losses. In Toronto, the TSX lost 264, and in New York, the Dow fell 507, while the Nasdaq dropped 355. The Canadian dollar is down 1/5 cent today, and on commodity markets, gold gained $27 an ounce, and oil added 74 cents a barrel. With more people using weight loss medications like Ozempic at home, there's a new reminder about what not to put in your recycling bin. Health officials say used needles and injection pens are still turning up in blue boxes across Ontario. They're launching a new awareness campaign warning those sharps can pose as a safety risk for workers who sort recycling by hand. Instead, residents are being urged to return them to participating pharmacies for safe disposal. At the G7 summit, talk was all about the U.S.-Iran agreement. Media outlets have seen the 14-point draft agreement, which Canada's Prime Minister calls a game changer, and the U.S. President says is not final. CTV senior correspondent Mike Lecouture has more.
He had asked me about it on China.
Prime Minister Mark Carney explaining the hot mic moment captured at yesterday's G7 summit, confirming he was explaining the details to President Donald Trump about Canada's deal to allow Chinese EVs into the country.
And he likes the structure, actually. We had a follow-up conversation about it as well.
I don't know that I said I like it, but I could understand that, yeah.
Is that a
cap? Would I rather see a cap than no cap? Yeah, I would. On Canada.
Carney says the two leaders had several conversations, but none of them included the CUSMA renewal.
I would rather not have the agreement, but I may sign it.
Right.
But we do better as a country if we don't have an agreement.
So are you thinking of?
Yeah, I'm thinking about maybe we won't be able to make a deal. I would rather not have the USMCA.
One of the bigger discussions at the G7 was the Iran deal. In a joint statement, leaders agreed there is a need to diversify trade routes to prevent choke points for energy supply chains, as we saw with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. The statement also says, quote, "We welcome the potential for Canada to deliver significant additional capacity to global markets in the coming years." Carney says there are a number of projects and plans, both online and in the works.
There's other European offtakes in the work for Canadian LNG, and then as well, expansion of TMX, the oil pipeline.
Back in Ottawa, Conservatives had this reaction to that proposal.
This is evolving a little bit. It needs to evolve a lot faster than it has. It's a great resource we have in Canada. The whole world knows it's a great resource. It's been constrained by bad government policy.
Carney also described the Iran deal as a game changer, as he feels Trump's view of the war in Ukraine is shifting.
Change in orientation, a more realistic, in our view, expectation of where this war was going to go, and the position against Russia, the tightening of sanctions against Russia, the ability to provide additional defensive support for Ukraine.
The G7 leaders also agreed to consider giving Ukraine the critical licenses to increase domestic military production for things like missiles. It's something that President Volodymyr Zelensky has been asking for since last year. Mike Lecoulteur, CTV News, Evian, France.
A key report from a special parliamentary committee today is recommending against the expansion of medical assistance in dying for those suffering with mental health issues. CTV's Abigail Beeman reports.
Since I was 11, I've wanted to die.
Living in poverty with anxiety, PTSD, borderline personality, and major depressive disorders among his diagnoses, Mitchell Tremblay is torn over the parliamentary committee's recommendation to indefinitely exclude people from accessing medical assistance in dying if the sole reason is mental illness.
5 years ago, I was cheering only for this expansion. This is all I wanted. And now today, I'll tell you, 75% of me thinks this is a win, that we're saving lives.
The majority of the special parliamentary committee and experts agree.
MAID should never be made available for people with mental illness. I say that as someone who is himself a suicide survivor and might not be here had the expansion that's set to come into law been on the books 15 years ago.
There are dissenting views also, with a July 11th deadline.
If you're comfortable with you and your family and your medical professions, then the rest of us should just butt out. It's not our life. It's not our choice.
Meanwhile, Tremblay faces an eviction threat. Frightened, he's bracing to be homeless for the 8th time. That's linked to the 25% of him unhappy to potentially lose MAID as an option.
I'm terrified, and to take that option off the table from me, I get angry. And I get scared, and I see that in a lot of the people that I'm talking to every day on social media. And there isn't any kind of a solution for it other than more support.
Yet Tremblay says he's feeling more hope than usual, that perhaps society will finally recognize supports needed for vulnerable people.
All these things add up, and what people feel is that they're not worth it.
The government will decide whether to legislate the change. The Justice Minister won't commit to a timeline for next steps, saying it will take at least several weeks to digest the report. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
A change in the makeup of Canada's population, with fewer immigrants being admitted in the first quarter of the year. What's behind the smaller numbers? Well, it could be tougher entry requirements or a reflection of fewer applicants. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver breaks down the stats for us and the implications.
Meet Kumar Pathak came to Canada from India 13 years ago as an international student looking for new opportunities. In the years since, he's become a Canadian citizen and a business owner. But for many of his friends, the ending hasn't been as happy.
A lot of my close friends, a lot of my relatives, that they are going back to India because they cannot have the right opportunity here and the right time, you know. So it's very tough, very, very tough right now in Canada for immigrants.
According to Statistics Canada, the population dipped by about 55,000 people in the first 3 months of 2026. A big reason, a 20% drop in the number of permanent immigrants from around 104,000 in Q1 of 2025 to just over 83,000 in Q1 of 2026. A reflection, immigration lawyers say, of the federal government's lower immigration targets and longer processing times.
There's always more demand for the number of spaces than we have actual spaces in any given year. However, I do see a sea change happening because we're starting to see now that people are looking elsewhere other than Canada for their career opportunities and their futures.
Those immigration cuts mean the arrival of newcomers is no longer propping up population growth that continues to be dragged down by declining fertility rates.
Canada as a country, we've been experiencing declining fertility for the past few decades. The baby boom was a blip in terms of that increased fertility level. Since then, we've been on that downward trajectory.
If this trend continues, economists say that economic growth could be impacted. Statistics Canada says this is all based on preliminary data and that final updates will be available in September. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
Good evening. A strong area of low pressure is moving through the Great Lakes tonight, bringing heavy rainfall, gusty winds, and the potential for some strong thunderstorms. The rainfall will be moving out by first thing tomorrow morning. We're back into mainly cloudy conditions, but gusty winds will follow this weather system. Winds out of the southwest, 40 with gusts to 60. So a windy start to the day, Christina, if you're heading out for a walk with Pearl. The chance for showers will linger, but the main rain will move through tonight, through the overnight, and ending heading into tomorrow morning. I'll have your local forecast coming up right after this.
Julie joins me on the desk now. Julie, it was a beautiful morning, but we're seeing that rainfall start to come now.
Yeah, heavy rainfall, possibility of some strong thunderstorms and gusty winds. This is a strong low pressure system that's coming through, and abnormal for this time of year for sure. We don't normally see low pressure systems quite this compact moving through. In terms of our daytime high today, on the cooler side of what's normal for this time of year, we have that cloud cover roll in. We have rain out there tonight. Environment Canada issuing a special weather statement warning of the potential for heavy rainfall. We could see localized flooding in low-lying areas, ponding on area roads as well. Make sure those sump pumps are working. In terms of rainfall amounts, the rain heaviest areas expected in and around northern Huron County, southern Bruce. You'll notice that as we push through the next couple of hours, moving into Grey County. So this low pressure area making the move right across the lakes tonight. Cold front will follow and strong gusty winds expected as we head through the overnight and into tomorrow. So that's the other hazard with this weather system will be the gusty winds. We could see wind gusts hit 70 to 80 kilometers per hour. So periods of heavy rainfall overnight will shift towards Grey County. Still some storm action in London. Waking up tomorrow morning, this weather system will be history, but what won't be history will be the gusty winds. They'll be with us through the day, so they'll shift from the southwest to the west in the afternoon and continue to gust close to about 70 kilometers per hour. So a windy day for your Thursday, and still the chance for showers. Probability on the lower end. The showers will be more spotty in nature, of course, in comparison to what we're seeing out there tonight. So just a slight risk for some light showers. As we roll into your Friday, we will start the day with some sunshine to a nice mix of sun and cloud. Friday afternoon, we could see a very light pop-up shower. Overnight, on the milder side of things, overnight lows anywhere between 12 and 14, and will be mild along that shoreline of Lake Erie. This forecast model is reading a lot of rain in northern Huron County and southern Bruce. So as you can see, this may be a bit overdone. 100 millimeters, that is a significant amount of moisture. We likely won't see that much rainfall. However, I just wanted to give you the indication of where the heaviest rain will fall. In London, reading on the lower end, close to 10 to 15 millimeters of rain. Your Thursday forecast heading into the afternoon, mainly cloudy, the high 21 degrees. Again, cooler than we should be for this time of year. We should be around 24 degrees. Chance for showers on Friday, although that probability just 40%. Forecast model showing mainly dry Friday, so some nice dry time to a mix of sun and cloud. Weekend is shaping up to be a nice one. Mixed Saturday, full sunshine on Sunday. The next weather system should hold off until Monday, and that's when we'll see our next bout of rainfall. Tuesday, we're into full sunshine. Midwestern Ontario, cool this weekend, but back into sunshine. We got to get through that rain tonight, but by tomorrow morning, just mainly cloudy. Gusty winds through the day, and we could see those winds could cause some damage in the area. Those winds getting quite significant in terms of this strong low. Mix of sun and cloud for your Friday. Looking good Saturday and full sunshine, Lauren. As we head into Sunday, daytime highs over the weekend from 20 to 24. Back to you.
Thanks, Julie. Otters at the Vancouver Aquarium are getting in on the World Cup action, offering a prediction on who will win Canada's match against Qatar tomorrow. The Sea Otters were presented with the two flags of both countries, which were made from clam paste. The Otters navigated toward the Canadian flag. The home team is heavily favored to win the match tomorrow.
CTV News London has a newsletter helping you start your day with the latest local headlines. By signing up, you'll get local news content from CTV London direct to your inbox, including top stories, the forecast, and videos. You can sign up at ctvnewslondon.ca.
One of Canada's oldest female-led charities marked a milestone in Goderich today. CTV's Scott Miller reports.
With all the pomp and circumstance of royalty, the women who lead one of Canada's oldest charitable groups are piped into their group's 125th anniversary celebration today in Goderich.
We started in 1901, June 17th, 1901 is when the first charter was actually signed. And we are Canada's oldest and largest IODE chapter in Canada.
Goderich's chapter of the Imperial Order of the Daughters of the Empire started 125 years ago today, just 1 year after the national organization was created to help soldiers returning and heading out to fight in the Boer War.
We're very, very different today than we were in 1900, for sure. But I think that's the part of the beauty of IODE. We've evolved over 126 years now to whatever is needed, because every single region, every single community can do what's needed in their community.
The Maple Leaf chapter of the IODE started Goderich's first hospital. Now they raise money through their consignment store to fund hospital equipment and other community projects.
It's all about care, service to others, and investing in our community.
For some of the longest serving members, the entirely female organization is empowering to be a part of.
I had a couple good friends that were members and thought I would like to be a member as well. And I do enjoy it. It's 50 years now, so.
All the chapters I've been into have been wonderful, and they are so giving and so hardworking, and it makes you want to give more and be more involved with it.
Dressed in their finest fashion from yesteryear, the 81 members of Goderich's IODE celebrated today's milestone, eager to see what the next 125 years will look like for their all-female charitable organization.
We started before women could vote, and we are older than the Lions Club, the Rotary Club, and the Legion.
In Goderich, Scott Miller, CTV News.
That's our time tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Lauren Stallone. Have a good night.